1975.
He wasn't in the military, but he was a drummer. One of those drummer guys.
Okay, well, that I don't, that's not confirmed by me.
He had a thing on his head. He wore a bandana.
I just want to say he wasn't part of the military.
99 years later, 1973.
You're an inspiration to us all. You look great, Mr.
Thank you, Mark.
Here we go. All right. Apologize for the delay. Had a hard time finding the agenda. So here we go. This is a planning commission meeting to be held Tuesday, June 13th, 2023 at 6 p.m. The time is now 6:02. Would you please call the roll?
Alderperson Kastner.
Present.
Steve Rogers. Brian Weiss is excused. Don Carlson. Zach Marshall.
Present.
Bob Krenz. Mike Braswell is excused. Daniel Wojak.
Present.
And Mayor Knightsky.
Present. Did you get called?
Did I say anything?
I didn't hear you.
You didn't hear me?
Did you?
I was called first.
Were you really?
I said here, didn't
All
I?
right. So Danielle is a voting member this evening because we have one absent, Mr. Weiss. If he shows up, then you can't vote, but you can participate. Okay. Item 2 is approval of minutes from the May 9th, 2023 meeting. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting.
Second.
I'll make a motion and then second it.
I can't make the motion. Sorry.
I'll make a motion.
By Commissioner Carlson,
Second.
by Commissioner Krenz. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is 3, discussion regarding last common council meetings.
May I first introduce,
Yes.
Yes, I would like you to do that.
thank you. To my left is Gina Vlock. Gina is our new planner. So for those of you who had not known, Andrew left in April. And so Gina just started yesterday.
Fantastic.
And Gina is comes fresh out of grad school. She was in the Joint Urban Planning Public Administration program, which is a 2-year program. And then she continued to get a 3rd master's degree in political science and just graduated a few weeks ago. And so we welcome Gina, and I'm excited to have a partner in crime back in the office. It's been a challenge. So Gina will, if I have a conflict or something, Gina will do the presentations before Plan Commission, Common Council, if I have some sort of conflict. But she obviously will be available for questions Plan Commissioners may have, if I'm not reachable in the office as well.
I have about 30 questions that I'd like answered now. No, I don't have any. Thank you. Welcome to the city. Item
Sorry,
3.
and then number 3.
Number 3. Council meetings.
So we held a public hearing for that tobacco store ordinance, which would no longer allow new tobacco stores, CBD, hookah lounges, those sort of uses. The Common Council did approve that ordinance unanimously. They also approved the special use permit for Naf Naf Middle Eastern Grill, which is going in the multi-tenant commercial building on 76 near Five Guys. And then there were 2 right-of-way discontinuances that the Common Council approved as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Moving along to item 4 is a special use review for Burger and Burger, as well as a site plan review for that same business at 6231 South 27th Street, submitted by Burger Company, Inc.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a new tenant taking over the George Webb space. George Webb is leaving. The property is owned PUD, so we have a special use review. Burger and Burger has a proposed 5-year lease to occupy the approximate 1,600 square foot tenant space. The applicant has 8 years of experience managing fast food restaurants, and they are proposing hours of operation to be 10 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. The special use review triggers review of the entire property. This is a large property. There are 2 different multi-tenant commercial buildings, and going the front, the main part of the property that the public generally sees and where the parking lot's located is in good condition, great condition, no issues there. It's the back area where the waste management trucks are going back and forth, and as you can see, kind of tearing up the pavement over time. I'm sure snow plows are contributing to that as well. We have some refuse enclosure doors that are in poor shape. You may recall a couple years ago, we did ask the landlord to construct a new fence along the west property line that is in good shape, but again, just kind of focusing on the pavement area of the property. Staff is recommending pavement improvements and refuse enclosure repairs be completed by December 31st. I just want to note that there are more agenda items where we talk about pavement repair in the staff report coming up. Those I've suggested October 31st. I'm not trying to be inconsistent, but this is quite a bit larger scope than those other projects. They're smaller in size. So I just wanted to explain why I have two different dates here going on with the multiple items on this Plan Commission agenda. I do know the property owner, JJ, is here, and I try to reach out to the property owners when we're talking about multi-tenant commercial buildings, because the little tenant is not, responsible for these sort of things. So I do know that the property owner, JJ, would like to address the Plan Commission regarding the staff recommendation for the pavement improvements.
Sure. Just one quick thing. So the asphalt plant's closed in mid-November, so whatever any of the recommendations are until, the date is when the asphalt plant's closed, right? It's got to be done by then, right? Okay, you can speak.
Sure. Good evening, Plan Commission. Thanks for having me here tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Just in response to the recommendations, in the item 2, it says both buildings, and actually the small shopping center, the pavement behind there is actually in good condition. We do agree that the pavement behind the large shopping center building does need to be repaved. It's not in our capital expenditure budget for this year. We have other items in that budget. And we'd like to ask for essentially a 2-year extension. This, as mentioned by staff, this isn't something that's used by the public. Customers aren't coming back here. And we have other capital repairs that we're budgeting for the project this year and next year. We could put it into the budget for the following year. So we'd ask for an extension there. As far as the screening that you see on that, I recommended to Christy that we just remove the doors. As discussed with the city in the past, that fence is what actually acts as the screening. If we put another door on there, Dollar Tree's just going to end up damaging it again. So I'd like to just remove that door and not actually replace that door. And then the other comment that was on here is that on the small shopping center, there are grease trap containers that they would like screened. There used to be a fence behind that small shop center space. We actually took down the fence at the recommendation of the city, because essentially what you have is you have a small, narrow drive aisle behind there. And the snowplow trucks and the garbage trucks were basically destroying the fences back there, and it was becoming an eyesore. And we built a new enclosure for Cousins just to the east of there, which is a really nice enclosure with a concrete pad. But this area is blocked from public view, and if we put any type of screening back there, it's just going to get destroyed by the snowplow removal and the garbage trucks and become even more of an eyesore. So we'd like to push back on that item. It was an item that was discussed when we had to do a special use for another tenant, and the city actually agreed that we shouldn't have a screening back there. So those are my comments. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So you're asking for a 2-year extension in regards to the pavement back there. Are you saying in 2 years you'll consider paving, or in 2 years you will pave?
I'd say 2 years we would resurface that area back there, yes. It's a significant capital. We're talking close to $100,000 of expense.
I feel for you with the cost of,
Yeah, asphalt's gone through the roof in terms of the cost.
yeah.
So is roofing.
Why do we put gates on garbage enclosures? I don't think it's necessarily 100% for the site. I think it's made to corral the garbage, no?
Combination of both, probably. There was some more a picture that maybe I would show you that I didn't. So that's what, that's also back there, and that's what you get when you don't have the enclosures.
So without the enclosures, the garbage gets strewn or the dumpsters get moved out in the middle of the driving area?
I guess both in this situation. I mean, this stuff right here, clearly someone just went back there and dumped it. It's like car pieces. It's,
Yeah, that's bad, but
Yeah,
but that could
there-
happen.
that's what that
That could
is.
happen if there's an enclosure there or not. Somebody
right,
just do
that,
that.
yeah, correct.
We were before the city, and the city said that we did not need to do dumpster enclosures behind the main building. What they wanted was that fence to be reconstructed along the residential properties, and that was what was important to them. So that's the reason why we don't have them back there. And so that Dollar Tree one was existing, and so like I was saying, I think it would be, if we spend the money to put another door on, it's just gonna get broken again. And the ultimate goal of screening this area is achieved by the fence that we reconstructed 2 years ago.
Can we go back to the grease thing?
Yes.
So that's really, I mean, from my perspective, that's probably the worst thing that's happening here.
But I
I
think,
don't know what you do with a tenant, and I understand that they need to screen their grease.
well, I mean, I think having the buckets out there is a detraction. I mean, personally, I just drove the site again today, but I mean, a dumpster, container versus a grease container, they kind of look the same. But when you
so-
have some other stuff lying around it, that's not good, and we're,
So all that stuff that's like, and I'm not trying to, the stuff that's seeping from it and all that other stuff, I mean, there's gotta be some kind of operational change by your tenant, so
Yeah,
that
and that
stuff
was-
doesn't happen.
that was George Webb's, and so the owner passed away last year, and the son's been operating the business and not really operating the business. He has a daytime job. So we're doing an early termination for George Webb. I mean, they were really struggling, and they kept reaching out to us. They have 3 years left on their lease. So we hemmed and hawed, and luckily we found another restaurateur that wanted to be there. So I think part of this is that you have some neglect from the current operator that's going on here. But I mean, I agree, you shouldn't have a leaky grease container, period.
So does that thing get removed when it gets full, or does it get pumped?
I think it gets pumped.
So is that leakage from the container or people just missing when they're pouring it in there? I mean, where's all that grease coming from
Or from the hose when they pull it out.
when they pull? So it's just sloppy work.
Yeah, well, and these are supposed to be metal containers too. I think those are plastic. So that could be part of the failures. They're not using the right things to transport it.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
Doesn't seem like the healthiest spot to put it right next to the building, right next to the door, right next to the,
Yeah, I mean, it would be, if it's a fixture, I mean, it would be nice if it was against the wall, it was relatively shielded on the sides, that it had bollards in front of it, so snowplow doesn't dump grease all over the place, right? And I think the new tenants, is the Burger and Burger guy here? Yes. Good burgers or not? So,
one, the first or second.
I mean, something has to be done with that. And I'm not an expert on
That
what
was
can be done
George
with
Webb
that to
Burgers.
sort of shield it and to make sure that the proper operational procedures are in place.
I mean,
'Cause, I mean, people can usually handle the dumpster that is behind a fence, but that's kind of a little bit different.
I mean, I would like to look into the operational thing and have our property manager work doing this stuff and not to have leakage and buckets lying around. I mean, I'm being honest with the screening. I mean, I really think it is a narrow drive, and any screening we do is gonna get damaged and start to look bad because those snowplow guys are gonna come through.
get that.
And then the dumpster guys are gonna come
We did go
through and
that
get
once
mad.
before with them. That didn't require it, so.
I mean, the benefit is, like I said, this doesn't have any public viewing corridor for it. I think from an operational standpoint, we can make a concerted effort with our property manager and the people who dispose of this to make this more sightly.
So what has the property manager been doing up until now? I mean, we're gonna try and fix it by that. Why hasn't it been fixed before we have pictures, trying to get a new tenant?
Well, I think with George Webb, it's been a little bit of a struggle to get them to do
So they just were ignoring is what
I
you're
didn't,
saying?
personally, that's the first time I've seen it look like that with George Webb. We get people dropping tires, couches, all kinds of stuff. It's a constant battle for us with this property. I mean, we spend probably $15,000 a year throwing away trash that people put back there. So we are doing and the amount of sweeping we do on the parking lot is a lot. And we still struggle to stay on top of it, and we're there weekly doing cleanups.
Is there any room there to move it, so it goes up against the wall?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why it's sitting out the way it was. Maybe they were, I'm not sure why it was positioned the way it was, but it should be flush against the wall.
I'm just gonna trust that Burger and burgers are not gonna be as greasy as George Webb burgers were.
And not as thin. If they're as thin, it's probably a bad thing too. Have you ever seen a George Webb burger?
Wafer thin.
So what's with the Blue Barrels there by Cousins?
So that's Cousins. So if they're not using what's per code, I'm not an expert on grease containers or what's allowed, but I mean, if that's something that's issue with
Is that
the
what
city,
those are, do we think?
I'm assuming
That's what
so.
it looks like to me.
Yeah.
That's what the ones,
I mean, we can we know the Cousins franchisee really well. We can have that conversation with them.
So maybe if there's
jointly
some
with the city.
consistency and
Yeah.
things are against the wall
Make-
and proper hygiene and etiquette and all that stuff operationally are taken care of.
Yeah, no,
making sure they're picked up when they're supposed to be. Sometimes it's more cost effective to space out the pickup, but then that leads to overflowing, and so it might be worth not
As
cutting
a
that
property
corner
owner,
for
you
them.
don't want this, that,
No.
like that.
Yeah.
no, it attracts rodents and pests and everything else, so yes, for sure.
For the asphalt, is there any spots that are like so bad that you could fix them if we decided to?
I mean, our concern a little bit is it needs to be resurfaced.
Okay.
And if we start investing in doing some patchwork, we're putting money at bad, we're sort of throwing that money away where we'd rather invest it in it. If this was out front, we would do it, it would have already been done. There's no question. We've been doing repairs out in the front parking lot. We're allowing this one to go a little bit longer because of where it's located. And there's other capital items that are ahead of it, like roof replacements and sanitary drain replacements. So that's why it is the way it is today.
So you're not concerned about the safety for your deliveries in the back?
So Dollar Tree has a concrete slab that they can pull up to for delivery, and they're the only ones that take delivery in the back.
Or the safety of the people that are dumping their trash in the back?
I hope that,
At your own risk.
I thought you meant illegally dumping in the back.
Right.
I did.
So there's
no-
only one
Well,
semi.
you're
Dumb
still
question.
liable.
Do you have no dumping signs and stuff back there?
I don't know if we have a no dumping sign. I don't know. We've
That makes it
tried.
enforceable by the police, should they see something like that happen?
Really?
Or you get it on camera?
Yeah, I know Experience has some cameras.
Yes. Yep,
Signage and cameras
Yeah.
yeah.
probably go a long way there.
Even fake cameras, and I shouldn't say that in a public meeting, but
Menards may or may not carry those.
Yeah.
so it's up to you guys, whatever you,
I'd be okay with the 2-year.
for the asphalt.
And
So June of '25, I just want to make,
different comment
June-
about the screening?
I want
for
a
the,
date. I actually want to put a date in there.
That we talked about this a few
June
years
of
ago.
25, I think that's fair.
So as I recall, when you purchased the property, I think you purchased the property at some point, or you came in
Yeah,
for Planet
2015
Fitness or something,
Yeah.
and we talked about the dumpsters. And the biggest capital expenditure was that fence, which was a ton of money, right? So the concern was that the people that are directly to the west don't see this stuff, and no one else really sees this stuff. We have a similar situation with dumpsters like this, I believe, behind the old Steinmark Plaza on 74th in Edgerton, where the dumpsters are there. It's a very narrow driveway. Nobody goes back there, and if they do, they shouldn't be back there,
Right.
probably. So it doesn't concern me.
Okay.
And you guys,
But
but
I'm of the opinion, we need to make it as easy for you and cost-effective for you as possible to do business in Greenfield. So I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad to hear that, because I would make a recommendation that we approve with a, what do we say, a 2-year delay? I'm not sure of the right language here, the 2-year delay on the parking
The
lot.
project needs to be
That would
completed
be
by December
December.
31st of 2024.
And then, what, that they don't
We gotta
have,
make it
that
November.
they can take the screens
Let me just-
down for the dumpsters? Is that,
You say October?
Yeah.
Okay.
is that what we're saying? That they can take
No,
the,
I think the doors.
at the doors, so you can take the doors down for the, and not replace the doors?
Yeah, it's just that specific one that was the bad one that,
Is the rest of the enclosure okay?
Yes.
Other than the doors?
Yeah.
I mean, just try to make that look like it belongs.
yep.
And then with regard to the grease stuff, I mean,
The grease that that you need to move that grease bin up
Proper
along the
placement.
wall.
Up
Pro-
against
proper
the wall.
cousins
proper
can't
storage.
have barrels of grease in the back of their building.
They'll need to get a dumpster.
Huh?
Need to get one of the dumpsters.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make
And I
that,
understand that it's grease and it's not always hygienically perfect.
Right.
But you can't have policies that have grease flying all over the place. And if that's who picks it up, or if that's the employee who misses with the bucket because it's too heavy,
that's not an excuse.
that's not, that's gotta be something that's taken care of.
Agreed.
And the mold, we've had it at
Yeah,
the fair.
so she does a lot of stuff with the restaurants, so she's kind of an expert at all this stuff,
I wouldn't
actually.
say that.
Well, somewhat. So,
So I'd
yeah,
make
I
a
mean, there's
motion-
mold, the health department is gonna get all over you,
Right.
and DPW or MMSD is gonna get all over you because grease is being released into the environment, so
Going into the
you
sewers.
can't, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm sure Christie can filter all that motion in there. and-
or actually,
so
Gina could probably do it. So-
Make a motion to approve.
I just want the dates that were,
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, I think we were asking for a 2-year extension, so that'd be in 25. The summer of 25 is when we'd be doing the paving, because it's not this year, it's 23, not next year.
Time
Completed,
flies.
completed by June of '25.
Correct.
I think
You're
that's,
actually
I
for
think
2.5
that's fair.
years?
That's 2.5.
Yeah.
Well, I consider it,
June of
It's
25.
June of 23 now.
23, 24,
So 2 years.
25.
yeah, so
23,
2-year extension would
24.
be 25.
What
So,
was the original date?
23.
Okay.
That's kind of what I was asking before. Are you saying you'll have it done in 2 years, or in 2 years you're wanting to come back and talk about it, or?
No, we'd have it completed as part of our,
Okay,
completed by
so June of 25.
25.
Correct.
Completed by
Okay.
June of 25.
JJ, when can you remove the damaged enclosure doors? When can you take care of the grease containers by?
I mean, the damaged doors those will come down within 2 weeks.
Okay.
As far as the grease containers, we'll have a conversation with Cousins about what they're using. The George Webb one will go away because we'll have a new user there, and so we'll have conversation with the tenant here tonight.
I think that it needs to be done by August 1st.
Yeah.
As a condition of his, well, you're gonna have a new grease protocol too, so as a condition of your special use for your part of this, that needs to be done before you move in, probably. You need to get the grease stuff in place, right? Or a month, right? Cousin, probably till August 1st.
I would think you probably have something in your lease that Cousins has to operate in a proper manner that this is not conformed to, so you have some teeth there.
Yep. And just to clarify, Christie, the pavement area is just the one behind Experience, not the area behind the small shop space, because you wrote both buildings.
Yeah, you were right. The pavement, I don't recall it being bad behind the north building.
Yeah, I just drove it. We actually just put in a new storm drain back there, and so we repaved a section, and it is actually in good condition.
You're reminded of your continuing duty in the event that asphalt turns into gravel or big chunks to patch and repair.
Yep, correct.
So JJ, we will end up sending a letter with these conditions, and the certificate of occupancy for your tenant is going to be held up until I receive a letter from you stating that you'll do the following.
Okay.
It's not saying you have to do the following, it's a letter saying we will do the following by X dates.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll work together, but I just wanted to let you know that we'll hold up the certificate until I get that letter from you assuring that that work is going to be done.
Yep. And we've done this before, so.
Very good. So
Thank
that-
you.
That's somebody want to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve
By-
based
I'll
on,
second.
Commissioner Rogers, second by Commissioner Carlson, That includes the delay of the fence until December 31st of 2025, which is 2.5 years.
The delay of the parking lot, the pavement.
Pavement, not the
Pavement,
fence.
what did I say?
Okay.
Fence, I don't know
Fence.
why.
You said fence, but
Sorry, I'm tired. The pavement behind the big building until December 31st of 2025. The removal of,
You said June.
I thought it was 2 years.
2 years
now.
from today.
you wanted
June of
is
2025.
June okay of 20?
30th, how about the 30th of June?
So, I mean, so what I was worried about is somebody's gonna say, well, you have to have it done by October when the asphalt plants are open till November. That's what I was trying to go
I
with.
mean, our goal is the season of 25 to get it done, it's scheduling, you know, we're approaching 25, they open in April, when they can get us on the schedule, so I mean, to be safe, it probably makes sense just to say October of 25 with the goal of, you know, once they can fit us in, they do the work.
I don't have any objection to that. October 1st of 2025. Got,
okay, we just moved that to October 1st,
is that right?
225.
2
That's
years
great.
and 3
That's good.
months you got instead of
That's
2
good.
years. So what a wonderful negotiation. The fence doors can come off. The rest of the enclosure should be put in a workmanlike manner back together so it looks like it belongs. And we have already talked about the grease, so, right? Motion was made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next one is 5A and 5B. This is a special use review for proposed hours of operation change in outdoor seating for Mountain Dip, an existing restaurant located at 7820 West Layton. This is also the site plan review for the outdoor seating at that location.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, 2 modification requests from Melton Dip. They're proposing to modify their hours of operation. The Common Council approved hours to be 11 to 11 daily. They're proposing to keep it open 1 more hour at night till midnight daily. They're also proposing to add outdoor patio seating area similar to what Panera has, just a few tenant spaces away. So this is their lease. These parking spaces are included in the lease for Melton Dip. And there is a landscape island that sticks out with no landscaping. And 2 parking stalls that would be removed and reconfigured to include outdoor seating for 12 tables. There would be a decorative metal fence around the perimeter for safety purposes, and then this is what it would look like. It would also include large umbrellas for coverage. The loss of 2 parking spaces, staff does not feel would be, negatively impact the area. Parking it's busy, right? Panera, especially at lunchtime, dinner time with Panera. But there is actually more parking than I was aware of in the back. And then I know that people do frequently park next door. I'm not recommending that, but given the variety of hours of operation with the tenants here, staff feels that the 2 parking stall loss, everything could still run smoothly. The zoning code does have a section where the Plan Commission can make a suggestion on whether this substantially changes the concept or intent of the previously approved special use. Staff feels that the outdoor dining and the 1-hour extension does not substantially change. Staff would recommend that a public hearing not be required and that it could be expedited to the Common Council meeting next week.
Is the applicant here?
Yes.
I recognized you. I thought it was you.
Good evening.
Yeah. I don't have any objection to any of it. Does
I
anybody?
really don't either.
I don't either. I am
Yep.
curious, is there access to the business from the back parking lot?
No.
No,
For
None
our
of them.
business, no.
no.
Oh, I think tap, what's
Cross
the
seat.
tap?
Brass tap,
Brass
right,
Tap
yes.
is the only one, I think, with access to the back.
Actually went
Brass
in
Tap has a back door,
They do, but they
Not.
don't.
but they do, but they
They
don't?
do not have a customer entrance there.
Oh,
Which
okay.
originally, when they moved in, I begged them to do, and they refused.
Yeah, so I actually stopped, I saw this and stopped and talked to him today to
That's the
see
new
if,
owner since then, yeah.
that back entrance was open, and they said, no, it's just staff parking.
See,
So I would not consider
Em-
that
employ-
parking lot.
Employees are encouraged to park in the back.
Yes,
because
all
some
the
of
employees
Some of the
park in the
parking
back.
stalls are required for employee parking, so if they, and I think they do park in the back.
They do.
I thought there, at one point, this building and the Lazy Boy building were owned by the same person. I don't know if they still are.
It is the same building.
In the Lazy
Same
Boy.
owner?
It used to be the same owner, and I thought.
It is
they had-
still the same owner, yes.
I think there's a cross easement, I think, between the two, which increases the parking.
So
The only thing does it look like Panera's, or does it look different,
It's a little different.
but close?
But
Yeah, I've got picture of Panera here.
they have the tall.
They do, they have.
Tall umbrellas. That's the only difference.
Oh, okay.
And then
The
Brett's-
umbrella is gonna be cover the whole sitting area. It's not gonna be like separate. It's gonna be 4 umbrellas,
Yes.
cover the whole sitting area.
all
Or
shaded.
very large umbrellas.
Yeah, very large.
Are you gonna do the partitions like they've got at Panera,
No,
have fences,
they have a
You gonna have
fence.
We're gonna fence it.
or you're gonna fence it, like with a wind barrier also, or just
I'm sorry.
Here,
No, it looks like it's straight
just
through.
fencing? Okay.
Cable
Gonna
height
look-
fencing that is
So did I
Right here.
gather from Christie, okay, I see that, yeah, that's
wrought
cool.
ironish.
Looks nice.
The only thing I would caution you about is I think even with Panera, the things that they hold the screens with are pretty sturdy. They almost act as bollards to prevent a car from coming through. So if you went to Menards and got the fence, right, that's probably not gonna stop a car. So you
Oh,
probably
believe
want
me,
some heavier
we're gonna
channel,
put the,
right?
yes.
I thought that was part of the consideration at the time.
I think these are just bolted to the ground,
Are they?
because they've had to replace them.
But they're off the curb, so if
Initially,
you'd
it
hit
was
the curb
different.
before you'd hit the fence, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's around like 2 feet of the,
And
of
yours
the
is too?
curb. Yeah, we're gonna do it like this just in case for the cars when they turn.
Okay, does anybody wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, you had something? What?
Well, I don't know, I mean, it is gonna impact some of the other businesses, so I don't know if expediting is, do we wanna give them a chance to weigh in on it?
they wouldn't get
Ex-
notified.
They would
Just
not
so you
get
know.
notified.
It's the property owners only.
Okay. 'Cause
Just so you know.
I didn't,
property
yeah,
owner,
that's good
yeah.
to know. I think it is gonna push people over to Lazy Boy, but they aren't open when the
Right.
restaurants are busy. So is that okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of spots over at Lazy Boy too.
There is.
so when and this goes back years, but most of the businesses say that they rely on the parking that is technically not on the property,
Right.
but shares the center. So-
Okay.
And I
If
think there's a
that's all-
cross easement, because it's
Is
the
your
same
busy
owner.
time the same time as Panera's busy?
No, actually, our busy time in the nighttime. That's why we asked for the 1 hour extra. Most of our business start after 9 o'clock. So the parking lot most of the time empty in these hours.
Okay,
good to
okay,
know.
cool.
Yeah, if that's all
Is there a motion made and
copacetic.
seconded?
Did we make a
I
motion?
made a motion, I don't know if there was a
Carlson,
second.
seconded by
Not yet.
Mr. Marshall. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6 is a final subdivision plat for Parkview Estates, a proposed single-family development to be located 35th and Barnard, submitted by Calvin Klemick, doing business as Pioneer Engineering Survey, and Raul Gonzalez, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this item was before the Plan Commission in January of '21. Nothing has changed. It's just that the approval time period has expired. And I know that the property owner has, run into some cost issues and material availability issues, and so hence the delay. And so we kind of just need to start from scratch here with the final plat approval. So just a refresher, there would be 3 parcels on the very west along 35th Street, no access to Barnard at all, which is obviously used by the school district. And so the property owner would enter into a development agreement with the engineering division, which is very heavy on infrastructure. That's the main focus of the development agreement. There is staff recommendation and comfortableness with phasing, allowing an early start for lots 1, 2, and 3, and holding up occupancy of house number 1 until the frontage road and the pond, which is kind of located here, are complete. There would be a clause in the development agreement that the property owner would not be allowed to sell lots 4 through 9 prior to occupancy of the properties in the front, which again means that infrastructure is completed, the pond is completed, because the pond does address the entire property, and that the frontage road would be completed along 35th Street as well. Oops, I think that was it, yeah.
That's probably it. So you want us to reaffirm what we already agreed?
Correct.
Correct.
Make a motion to approve.
By Commissioner Rogers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kranz. Just one thing with that frontage road, as you get closer to Barnard, even though the dedicated right-of-way is there, there was going to be some sort of plan to, because we have to plow to the end of that, right?
Correct, yep.
So we have to, I mean,
There's got to be room
the
for
only
snow, yeah.
contingency is that it's acceptable. The
Correct.
ultimate design of that. is
You mean the
acceptable.
driveway entrance of Lot 3 is where your concern is?
Over here.
I'm concerned about that we plow that frontage. It's considered a frontage road right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That goes right, I don't know if we have an overhead, but it goes,
Oh.
so that's actually not gonna be the road itself. That's the right of way. So there is a frontage road and the stuff that goes in that right of way has to match the frontage road. And there has to be adequate snow storage or something at the end, because there's no
Correct.
other way to plow that frontage road. You know what I'm saying?
I do believe on the latest plan it was wider.
I think so.
Correct.
thought
So I
something-
think that's already been
Yeah,
accounted
I just
for.
want, right.
Okay.
This helps you. You don't want to be stuck with something that, right?
I'm taking lot 5 for me, so I'll be there long term.
So you see that?
Oh,
So
yeah.
when we plow that, we plow straight down. There's no way to turn around, and they back all the way up, and they plow down again. There's got to be some provision at the end of that,
Okay.
because right now I think the snow gets basically pushed on your property, or it gets pushed at the very end in front of the other property, okay?
Okay.
That's the big deal, right?
Thought we had some cut through or something at one point, but I don't remember.
I don't think so. Okay. Was there a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. 7A and 7B are special use review for proposed hours of operation change to Wheels Plus, an existing gas station convenience store located at 6745 West Forest Home, as well as a site plan review.
Thank you. So this is just simply a request for an hours of operation change. Again, kind of citing the same section in the zoning code. Does this requested change substantially change the concept or intent? Previously approved special use. There are several convenience stores and gas stations that are open 24 hours a day in the city. I did reach out to the police departments. They provided this list to me. And just for clarification, it's the convenience store and car wash. The pumps are already 24 hours here. So it's a convenience store and car wash that they're requesting to go 24 hours as well. It's a commercial corridor along Loomis along Forest Home, and then there's the trail to the south as a buffer before residential. So there is no residential next to this particular property. And then we did talk about landscaping and storage of outdoor retail that's not allowed. We've emailed, we've already communicated this. I have the approved landscaping plan for you to take. But over time, we've got beds of mulch instead of beds of landscaping. So I will supply the approved landscaping plan, just a reminder that we need to get that up to speed.
Generally, the only concern is the noise of the car washes. So usually, we require that car washes not operate after 10
Okay.
in the middle of the night, with people sleeping and their windows open, having somebody go through the car wash at 2 in the morning and hearing the blowers and dryers, the sound travels. Is that okay?
Yes, it is.
What time do they open up at the car wash?
It's usually 6 to 10 for car washes.
6 PM to 10,
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
6 AM is.
To 10 p.m.
Kind of pretty early too for the,
We can
Could
start
be 7
working
or-
at 6 o'clock in the morning too.
Yeah, I doubt there's too many, there'd be some, but I doubt there's too many people getting their car washed that early.
It can be 8 to 10 too, but, I mean, so you're not on a weekend, you're not supposed to be noisy before 8, right? During the weekdays, you can generally be noisy before 6 or 7. That's
right.
kind of the rule, so, but
interesting. Good deal.
not too many people wash their cars at 6 or 7 in the morning
Yeah, I'm
anyways,
not
and
doing
not
it
too many
6
do it
a.m.
late at night, but when they do, they call. Late night, so,
And they just redid 68th Street over there too.
they did.
So are we doing 6 to 10 for the car wash?
I think
Hours
6
of
to 10
6.
is fine.
6 to 10?
6
So
to 10,
24
okay.
hours for the convenience store and 6 to 10 for the car wash.
The convenience store and gas station, I think, are 24 hours. I think the operation of the car wash is limited to between 6 and 10.
Okay,
Is that fair?
sound good.
Does everyone agree with that?
I'm fine with that. I was fine with the other one, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make a motion to
Make a
approve
motion.
somebody?
I'll make a motion.
By Commissioner Carlson, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Oh my gosh, there we go. All
I'll
right.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Item 8 is the site and architectural plans for proposed construction of a pergola at Clement Manor at 9339 West Howard.
This is pretty straightforward. The pergola is already constructed.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Alderperson Kastner, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
All
Did
right.
you make it?
I was a little bit part of it.
Uh-oh.
Who made the decision to do it without approval? You?
It was not my decision. It was actually my boss's decision.
Okay, what's his name?
His name's
Just, it's fine.
You guys
I
are
mean,
good partners with the city, I know that.
You've been
so
very
yeah.
good partners with the city, and it's easy to understand why this wouldn't be considered an accessory structure, but it is. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Do we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Fine.
Aye. All right. Item 9 is site landscaping and architectural plans for proposed new construction of Baggett Dental, hopefully 3130 West or South 103rd Street, submitted by Timothy Baggett, the dentist. Are you the dentist?
I am not the dentist, and he is not the dentist either, so. I'm Chad Ferguson with Keller Design Builders on behalf of Dr. Tim Baggett. And Alex? I'm Alex Small. I'm with Excel Engineering. I prepared the civil plans that you guys looked at, so we did the civil site design.
Okay.
Thank you. So this is a vacant site, one of the few left in the city along Oklahoma and 103rd Street. It's just over an acre in size, zone C4. Dental offices are permitted use, but this is new construction, so going through Plan Commission. It's approximately a 3,800 square foot standalone dental office, estimated at about $1 million and in value, and hours of operation would be 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. They'll have 8 treatment or hygiene rooms within the building. They are requesting a setback waiver for the front and side yards. Again, very promoted by staff, encouraged by staff to push the building up. Good planning pushes the building up to the lot lines, close to the lot lines. So here is a site, the entire property. So you can see they're using about half of it with the building closer to Oklahoma and a parking lot in the middle, and just identified as future development. At this time, there's no certified survey map proposed. Future development, when that takes place, at that time would likely come before with a CSM in conjunction with their application. I'm showing 2 site plans here. This is just kind of the cleaner version on the left. And then the right, we've got a lot of utilities identified here, but you can see where the dry pond is going to be located on the east side of the building. Originally, the plan had the pond on the west, the pond and building flipped, and I asked them to flip it to push the building up closer to 103rd Street, and they willingly cooperated with that suggestion. So again, the setback waivers for the front and side, and then we've got 2 light poles in the parking lot behind the curbed area in the landscaping. And so this is the very nice rendering of what the building will look like. This is the entrance on the south end from the parking lot, and this is what you would see from 103rd in Oklahoma going eastbound. So combination materials noted in the staff report, we've got a mixture of brick, hardy plank, cement board, siding, nichi-ha, asphalt shingles. So that's the combination of the materials. We've got a really nice glass entrance, storefront entrance on the south side of the building. And staff recommends that this be expedited to the Common Council meeting next week. I do believe that they have one comment you'd like to add regarding a recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we saw the recommendations and the comments that you guys had, which we agree with everything regarding the landscaping. We saw add more landscaping to the south to help screen the headlights from the cars, to keep that until there would be future development at a later date, as well as adding a couple of trees along Oklahoma there. So relocate a couple on site potentially, or add a couple up there. And then as well as the light pole base, decrease that, I believe, from 3 feet to 6 inches, which we didn't have a problem with. It might slightly move back just based off the one we have on the plan on the south side, just to make sure that no car overhang could hit that light or damage the pole or anything like that. The one thing that we would like to request is to request that there not be a handrail along the west sidewalk, or the east sidewalk, purely from mostly a maintenance standpoint for any sort of snow shoveling or blowing, as well as lawn mowing in there, to keep it out of the way of whatever maintenance would need to be done there. The pond slopes, as you can see on the east drawing there, on the right side of the page, the slopes there are 3-to-1, which is what we use standard as a maximum slope for what mowers can go on. And then there is a 1.5 foot buffer there between the walk and when the pond would start. And just to reiterate what was said earlier, it is a dry detention pond, so there's not going to be actively water in it at all times.
Our engineering and our staff and our building inspector were concerned because the exit door has you literally walking straight east. Let's just say someone's on their phone, not paying attention, takes a few extra steps forward. They were concerned about the sudden grade difference right there with the sidewalk. If there would be a way to reconfigure that door so that when someone steps out, they immediately start walking south, I think that could alleviate potential problems. But from our staff meeting, that was the comment and concern from our building inspector and our engineering staff.
Yeah, I think a easy way to address that would be to slightly alter the route of that sidewalk there. We just need the 5 foot by 5 foot area there for the stoop of the door, and then you just kind of angle wherever that walk would be to start turning to the right a little bit more quickly than as a 90-degree turn, which shouldn't be a problem.
I suspect they'd put up a handrail if people kept falling into the dry pond.
I would imagine. The other good thing too is there on that entrance is for staff only. So I would imagine used in case of emergency exit or patients.
Where were the trees supposed to go along Oklahoma? Between the sidewalk and the street, or on your property?
From what I interpreted, it was on our property. We've kind of got a good.
For the snow, they need to be moved back because of the snow plowing and all that stuff. Sure. Trees don't survive well next to.
No, it would be pushed back past the sidewalk.
So I'll say there's a sidewalk there.
And our property line is actually is beyond the sidewalk, so we wouldn't even be worried about placing trees on the opposite side of the sidewalk. So
I wouldn't recommend that. They'll just get destroyed. I mean, you want them closer to the building. Okay. I don't have a problem waiving the handrail, especially since it's an employee entrance.
Well, they're the ones on the phone all the time, but never mind. I think they'll know that it goes down.
Yeah, I don't think.
The detention pond's just configured for just the front property?
So that's actually a big portion of this that we've been working on with city engineering and MMSD as well, moving forward with that. So that pond is able to maintain the entire build out as we have shown right there. It's also able to detain a portion of what would be done on the south. There would need to be a small pond added, and that would meet MMSD requirements for an overall acre. Because, this is a debate, like, are we just doing this for now? Or are we going to do this for the overall entire development? So this detention pond does its best job of serving the overall development, of taking the burden off of whoever would be in the future. They would only have to do a very small detention pond instead of having to do something equivalent to what's being done there today.
Good idea, good planning.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Carl, did you second? Sorry.
Yeah, and that's without the rail.
Got it, yep, I got it.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Item 10A and 10B are the special use review and site plan review for Reyes Auto Repair, a proposed automotive business at 4805 West Forest Home. This is a special use review and site plan review.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The applicant has a offer to purchase, has submitted an offer to purchase the property, which is an existing auto repair, special use review, gets triggered when ownership changes. So they would offer very similar services, general automotive repair, transmission, brake, oil change, that sort of thing. The proposed hours of operation were submitted to be 8 to 6, 7 days a week. I did check the file. Previously approved hours of operation were 8 to 6 Monday through Friday, 8 to 2 Saturday, closed Sunday. So staff's recommending, because of the residential neighborhood, that we stick to those hours of operation as previously approved. So there is an approved landscaping plan on file for this property when they proposed an addition, I believe in 2000, if I remember right. And there's a substantial amount of landscaping missing from the property. So this is looking east. There's supposed to be landscaping along the western property line here. This concrete pole base should be removed. I'm just, again, circling areas where a substantial amount of landscaping is missing. Again, more concrete posts, bases that are just kind of sticking up. And just general maintenance of the property over time has definitely dwindled. And staff is recommending that the new property owner get the site into compliance by October 31st for the landscaping. You can also see that there's significant pavement disrepair over time. There's a large area that's not even paved. It's just kind of gravel. I'm not sure why that's missing, but and there's a whole landscaping island that was supposed to be constructed here that's missing. So that's the condition of the site. Staff's recommending that the site get into compliance by October 31st, and that this could be expedited to the Common Council meeting next week.
Is the owner and the buyer here? Did you want to address us, or if you do, you have to come up here, unfortunately.
Since I'm the owner. As far as the missing planter, 2 planters actually, on the east side of the property, those weren't put in mainly because of snow plowing. Once the heavy snow does fall, limited places to push the snow on the property, and that was one of the areas that it went to. And back in actually '99, I talked to Robert Pups about it, not knowing I needed to talk to you about it.
I was not here.
Well, whatever, but he said,
Were
he
you alive
agreed,
in '99?
Of course I was.
he agreed that, that it was a good idea just to eliminate them because of that particular reason. But if you need them, I guess we'll put them in. And some of the property, well, we got shorthanded, and we'd already started the cleanup after you took the pictures. I think we saw you the day you took pictures. But the cleanup has been done. Only question I have is on the very south side of the property, there's a fence line, and then there's an alleyway. Is that the cleanup you're talking about? Because the neighbors had put all kinds of wildflowers back in there?
No, so there wasn't recommended cleanup per se. This is your property. This is the back of the building. So yeah, we didn't address anything in the alley. It's all being addressed contained on the property. So here's the fence along that black line. So nope, I didn't even go there with the alley. That's public right of way. So
Yeah, see,
everything
basically-
recommended is contained within the property.
Okay.
Is the fence in good shape?
Yeah, it is.
Fence is in shape.
Is the asphalt and everything around the building in
The
good shape?
asphalt basically on the east side,
Here, that's.
right, yeah, well, yes.
There really isn't any there.
No.
And that particular part right there, originally we had dug that out and put in crushed concrete and had it all nicely compacted and everything, and due to the water runoff from the neighbor's property, that eventually started to erode that. Actually, the worst part about it in the last 3 years. Since
So
they
that's
took-
probably gotta be paved, right?
Well, yeah, it's gotta have to be asphalted now. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Because it was gonna redo it again, and it's like, oh, it's foolish, because it's just gonna do the same thing
You're
again.
just selling it.
Well, yeah, now I am.
And that too, right? So the stuff along the street there too, that big
That
circle,
whole
that-
area right there has been left alone because the county is basically gonna be doing some work in that general area with the sidewalks and the approaches coming up. And there was a bunch of bushes and everything planted in that area, but due to county salt during the winter months, they lasted a year before they all died off.
Can we kinda get it to be grass or something?
Oh, yeah,
Cause the landscaping.
looks-
to-
it looks terrible,
The landscaping
right?
to the right looks okay, right? It just needs to be trimmed and probably,
that just needs to be all redone, period. I agree with that,
okay, that's what she said.
yes, I know.
You agree with her?
I agree 100% with her.
Okay.
But it was like, we were gonna do it already this spring, but that's when the county came through and said that they're going to be tearing that section up, and it's like, well, do we do it now? Or do we wait until they're done with their project and then clean it up?
So the asphalt's important,
Asphalt is,
redoing the landscaping's important.
yes.
What
My,
about the-
my question is the two enclosures,
Any shovels
flower
again?
enclosures on the one end, on the east side of the property. Otherwise, everything else that you've recommended is no problem. It's just that
Putting the
putting,
light pole things is a good.
yeah, the light pole things, matter of fact, I have a contractor coming in next week to take those out already for me.
You're talking about this one here.
I think the other picture showed it with the two trucks on it. No.
That's the web.
That there, that, believe it or not, that's oriental grass. It gets the little fluffy things on the top, and
That's gotta be kinda cleaned up. There is another one, not that one,
that's the front.
that one.
Right,
So-
yeah, right there is supposed to be one of your,
If you can convert that to grass, that would be great,
okay.
I think, right?
Yeah, if he doesn't pave it, you're just gonna have the same thing with a snowplow pushing the gravel there, and it's gonna kill the grass.
Which is why it's gotta
Yeah.
be paved.
Well, some of it's still gonna have to get paved, but there's gotta
Right.
be a lot of it's gonna be turned back into grass.
Could do that, that'd be great, and clean
Don't
up the
mean to bring
landscaping
this
along
up,
the
but-
forest home, that would be important.
What is stormwater being addressed on this site?
Doesn't have to be, cause it's an existing site,
Oh.
like the, right?
Yeah, we had gone through probably putting a catch basin in, but where the city engineer wanted to put it, we couldn't force the water uphill. So that was a while back.
Yes, so like the last guys, with the new development on a parcel, the stormwater management rules kick in aggressively under a half acre, right? Or- So, but for an existing site that has impervious surfaces, those tend to be grandfathered.
Right, plus there's two catch basins just on the edge of both approaches on that side of the road. So,
Getting some green stuff where some of the,
crutches, okay,
that would be a good idea, right?
sure.
I was gonna say,
So the planters don't, the original planters don't need to go in, but the rest of the site needs to be,
Cleaned up, all right.
right? Right? Is that good, Chrissy? Anything you're missing?
So I think what we are talking about is this planter, you're saying does not need to go in?
Yes,
And this one right here.
but it should be grassed,
Well, yes,
right?
yes.
which is what it is kind of now.
It's what it is now. It just you probably need to dig it out.
Leveled off, and then there's a section of the parking area that needs to be re-asphalted or repatched
Yeah.
on that corner there. And then the big area, we already knew that was going to be.
So most of the two sites on Durand that have no real vegetation now anyways, other than grass growing through the gravel,
Grass and a tree.
you need to clean that up. The part that's along Forest Home that looks like it was once something probably needs to be reinvigorated.
That needs to be all replanted. We'll
Right.
try again. Matter of fact, I was gonna approach somebody's in Greenfield far as what we can plant there that can survive the salt and the brine coming from the county. Because they've already I've already planted the grass at Long Forest Home 3 times. Every year it gets just wiped out. So that's one of the issues. on
Maybe
that
our
side.
city forester can help you with that stuff too. Right? Right? Okay. Does that make sense to everybody?
Sure.
Make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Carlson. All in favor?
All right.
All opposed? Motion carries. So you're retiring or what's happening?
Yeah, finally.
Really?
Yeah, I just turned 68. I thought it was time.
It's not time. Nobody can do what you do anymore. Do you know that?
Yeah, I know. I have a lot of customers saying, you can't retire. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I've been
I
doing it,
trust the new people.
you know,
Are you the
it's
new
like-
guy?
He's a very talented young man, so he
How many-
should,
you
he
keep in
should
West
do well
Dallas?
there. So,
You have a West Dallas location?
No.
Oh,
This first one?
Yeah, this is the first one.
Okay. Very good.
Well, congratulations, that's cool.
Will be a great one.
Yeah, so parts of the special use too is like the outdoor storage of tires and batteries and all that stuff. You can't do all of that stuff.
Can't, you
So,
gotta
I mean, those are the rules that
Grease
are,
traps,
and that's why there's that concrete enclosure
Well,
in
not
the
the
back
same
of my
kind of
building
grease,
for
but still.
garbage.
they have oil stored, you know,
Oh, bins, yeah.
waste oil and, I mean, it needs to stay clean,
Yeah.
right? Because otherwise we get all over you, right?
Oh, boy, you don't want them on your bad side.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Thank
So
you very
that's why
much.
we try to, eliminate it on the front end, right?
communication.
Are the hours of operation, just one quick thing, you were closing at 6? Is that,
Yes, it will be.
that's fine, okay. I just want to make sure.
On Sunday.
But
Okay.
not open Sunday? Yeah, he just said that. Okay.
Okay, very
you're not
good.
doing car washes at 2 o'clock in the morning.
If you do it by hand, it's okay. You
Oh,
just can't
I-
have those big blowers.
Well, now, we
Yeah.
didn't tell the last people that,
Well, I don't think they're going to do it by hand. All right, very good. Motion was made, motion made and seconded.
yes.
I mean,
All in
so
favor? Aye.
there are actually people going after their neighbors for blowing leaves now, right? Do you know that? Yeah, oh, yeah.
I didn't know we could do that. My neighbor does that. She works for me.
Well,
She does
apparently
that.
it's a big thing now, because 2 people have had police calls.
The hours are what you stated, 7 till 10,
Call the cops
7
on
to
my
10,
neighbor
6 to
that
10.
tried-
6 to 10?
Well, for that car wash, probably. I mean, 7 to 10 is usually the best, but.
I think 6 AM is a little early for that myself, but.
Yeah, I don't think you have that.
Why don't you ask him if 7 is okay to start that?
Yeah,
I know he's
but
gone.
You say that. and
7 to 10 is probably better.
We could.
Ask him if it's okay, if it's not 6, because he doesn't sell car washes from 6 to 7. It is 6, that's what was approved, but the council,
Actually, you can sell them at 9 and they can come back later anyhow.
kind of, right? It's just a good idea. It's a good effort. All right, so 11A and B, special use permit for Mochanet, a proposed limited service restaurant to be located at 4848 South 76th Street, as well as a site plan review.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a new tenant coming into the existing multi-tenant commercial building, the T-Mobile space, renting about 1,300 square feet for a fusion dessert chain, the second one in Wisconsin. The property is zoned PUD, which permits limited service restaurants as a special use. A public hearing would be required. This is a brand-new use in that tenant space, which could be scheduled for July 18th. The proposed hours are 9 to midnight daily. This is the approximate space where they will be occupying the building. So we have another situation with an approved landscaping plan. This is what's on file. And, it shows a perimeter landscaping around the building, within the landscape islands. So this is what we have on file. And then you can see that over time, the landscaping has simply just died. We've got a lot of mulch beds instead of landscaping beds. We also have some poorly conditioned areas in the parking lot that need to be repaired. And again, there's supposed to be landscaping between the trees. So We have a situation with, a tenant. I do believe the property owner is here as well. We've had some communications through email, and I do believe the property owner would like to speak to the Plan Commission about the timing and how to approach the landscaping for this particular property.
Does anybody have any objection to the underlying use in the building?
No.
So we would authorize the public hearing process to begin and be
Okay.
held on July 18th. Yeah. Do you know him? Yes. Hi.
Hi, I'm Devinder Tour. I'm the agent for the owner, who is my father. But I operate the building on a day-to-day basis. So obviously we have a few issues here. The building's had many issues since we took over, which was the end of 2020. We've been actively working at cleaning up the building as best we could in a measured approach to make sure things are cleaner, safer, better for all involved. As far as the asphalt and the dumpster corral go, those are both on our capital expenses for this year, so not an issue. They're going to be done anyways. I would ask that if we can move that date to the end of the year, just because we don't yet have our date scheduled for when the pavement's going in, and sometimes it does push into November. As far as the landscaping goes, when we took over the property, there was a mass of dead plants, a lot of bushes that were overgrown with gnarly branches going every which direction. A lot of stuff along the back road was so overgrown that there was literally like camps that were uncovered underneath behind the brush. So we used our landscaping partner, Davis Seasonal Management, to get everything cleaned up, get the trees trimmed, anything that was dead removed. We replaced a lot of plant stock. We redefined some beds, and we focused a lot of energy on the front of the building. And we've been doing a measured approach to make sure that we're continuing to upgrade the property. Obviously, at that time, we didn't know that there was a landscaping plan from 20-some years ago, but we're aware of that now. Before we just jump into replacing what's there with what the plan says, I would think that it would be prudent to take a look at what the plan shows and why it didn't last. Was it salt resistant? Was it drought resistant? There's no irrigation on the property. Everything has to be watered manually when God's not doing it for us. So there's those types of things to consider, and we would like to have the opportunity to make sure that the plan actually makes sense as we move forward. We're not just sitting by and letting things be the way they are. We're taking steps each year to continue improvement, but I'm not sure
the
that.
front of the building, you did this, right?
Yes.
Already? So
Yep.
that's good.
And I'm not sure that just jumping in and trying to match an old plan is actually the
It's
best
not the
way to
best
proceed.
solution. So has Davis created a new one for you, or are you working with a landscape person to?
So Davis did this. This was all installed last year. And then we haven't done our plan yet for this year, as this sort of thing just creeped up and we weren't sure what quite direction to go to. My preference is that we have Davis work with somebody at the city and make sure that what we're putting in makes sense, it's going to survive, and it's achieving the overall goals of what we want the property to look like.
So from my perspective, if they can get the parking lot done by this year and the other improvement that you were talking about, that would be a good thing.
That would be a good thing.
If you can work on a landscaping plan by the end of this summer for maybe a spring planting, that would probably be a good thing. For
Absolutely.
installation probably next spring or summer.
That would have been my
Makes
request.
sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Okay,
Great. I'll make a motion to approve.
is that okay?
That works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll second.
I understand that there were some complications early on in the process with this, with maybe your future tenant. On behalf of the city, I just wanted, I want to welcome you to the city.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that.
No, it seems like an exciting establishment.
Yes.
So
I'm more
if
more
there
than
was
happy.
frustration and all those things, and,
Yes.
we're here to serve.
And sorry for any misunderstanding, and
Yeah.
more than happy to join.
Just
your
be nice to
candidate.
everybody,
Yes,
because
of course.
everybody, they're trying, right? So,
Yes,
okay.
thank you so much.
What kind of food?
More than just a donut, it looks like. Moken.
Corn dogs and donuts and also boba tea drinks.
So there's a Hawaiian influence to this, right? A Hawaiian influence?
Yes,
So,
Hawaiian mixed with Japanese donuts.
okay.
Oh, wow.
So a couple of things, do we have a sign that's going on the building?
So, yeah, I wanted to ask, so I did speak, I sent you an email about the banners, and I did speak to the, Emma about banners. Are the banners, this was taken like a week or two ago, are the banners still there? Are they down? Because there were no permits for those.
The sign company said that they applied for permits,
No, they didn't.
so I'll have to check in with them on that, and I'll make sure it's submitted by the end of this week.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Sign companies are notorious for doing things like that, just so you know, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Was there a motion, a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
We're scheduling a public hearing and everything.
And scheduling the public hearing for July 18th, I think that was part of the motion, of course. So with that being said, we have a community manager report that Danielle's going to do this evening. Yeah, she's shaking her head.
Yeah. Here's what we've got for next month. Holy mackerel for the outdoor area.
Oh, good.
Okay, so they submitted plans. That'll be on Plan Commission next month. The permit for the second apartment building for Cobalt on Loomis and Layton has been applied for. So the intent is to get moving on that pretty soon. And,
Okay.
That's it.
yeah, that's about it. For
Yeah,
big projects.
Things
big
have
projects.
slowed down dramatically. I think interest rates are having a very negative impact on everything that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. I was reading something today, and I can't remember what the price of the house was, and I'm probably getting the numbers wrong to some extent, but under the old interest rates, the house payment was something like $1,800 or something. The new house payments under the same house, value of the house is like $3,200.
Oh, my God.
So that's a bad thing. That translates into the commercial and residential multifamily markets the same way, which is a very big challenge. Interest rates took sort of an unprecedented, the rate heights were relatively unprecedented, at least since the late 70s or early 80s, right, when things just exploded. I'm hoping that's not happening now.
Yeah.
Well, 25 to 30% of all homes under 300,000 are purchased by cash.
Which is, and I don't understand all of this. So there are houses, I watched the houses in Greenfield. It wasn't that long ago, you could get a house in Greenfield for about 110, 120. Wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
And now I think the average is about 240. The bigger houses, the west side center houses, those are 350, 450, 500. There were 2 houses for sale in the neighborhood that I live in. They were sold almost instantaneously. One had a listing price of $469, and I would have been shocked to see that kind of pricing at one point. And it went, and I don't know what it actually sold for because it hasn't been reported yet, but it sold immediately. So there's something askew here. I saw a statistic, and again, I don't remember specifically the percentage, but it was something like 78% of the people who live in houses now would not be able to afford them now if they were buying them new.
Yeah, you can't build that 460 house for 460 anymore.
And you can't insure it for,
Yeah,
right?
because
the
it's-
replacement value is above even that sale price,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In many cases. At least, right? So these are very, very strange times that we live in. And it's nice to see this economic activity, and it's nice to have a planning commission that understands what's going on in the world, right? So that's
So we should have just said no to everyone. They have to fix everything right now, and then they can't
well,
open their
I mean,
doors till
so, I mean, the COVID hits, the contractor hits, the labor hits, the financing hits, the interest rate hits, the banks are more aggressive in their underwriting, I think, than they were just a few short years ago. I mean, all of those things have an impact. So when you see these folks coming before us that want to open an auto repair business and want to, you know, open a restaurant and want to do these things, it's important that we are supportive. I think it's challenging it enough to have your own business and to try to figure out how to use QuickBooks and how to pay for workers' comp and how am I supposed to pass this cost along? And I'm not suggesting that the city just goes to, you know, proverbial SHI something, right? That's not the intent. The intent is to try to gradually get the improvements, to try to make it a better place. If it takes it being over time, then so be it. It's better than no economic activity.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely want to be business friendly.
Right? Vacant buildings are bad buildings. Right?
Vacant buildings are bad buildings, is that what you said?
Yep.
Vacant buildings are bad buildings.
Yes.
Having activity is important. There is still activity. We just have to be supportive of it.
Yeah.
Is there any activity going on 84 South in the corner of, is that happening anytime soon?
I don't know. So there's this, all of the things that we talk about, right? And I don't know, but I do know that the costs have gone from 8 million to 10 million to 12 million to 15 million to above that. And I'm not sure how that all works. So we're still working through that. And that was with some city assistance too, right? So now if the costs are even greater than that, making numbers is tough.
I get it. It's just, that's tough.
I mean,
Tough
today
thing.
had an uncomfortable meeting about the turf, right? That, you know, when we started that, it was like 2 million or 2.5 million, and we had and then it was 4 million, and it was 5 million, then it was 7 point something million today. And it's awfully difficult to justify spending $7 million. It's hard enough to justify spending $2 million, right?
Right.
$7 million on a skateboard park when people are spending $90 for 2 or 3 meals, right, at the grocery store, not even at Culver's, right? So, and I love Culver's, but I think most people are going to struggle to.
We went to fast food, just Cindy and I went to fast food the other day, and we were over $20 for something that I don't feel should have been $8.
Yeah. So there were 2 restaurants that and I won't say which ones they were, that when I was hungry, you know, $3 or $5 would get me through.
Oh, yeah.
One has a southern border appeal, and the other one is, you know, has certain drive-through and serves millions of burgers or something. But that's like $9, $10, $11 just for a. So the key is to always get the Happy Meal, right? The kids' meal, because. No. Especially at Culver's, well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, one with, how many?
Snack pack me all day.
I always get the Happy Meal, you know.
They
with,
can add
with
up
the
if
apples,
you have enough Happy
you know,
Meals.
but you get less apples now too, so it's like, what?
Happy Meals when we have enough points.
Is that right? All right, so that being said, I think that covers some
I
of the
think
stuff.
that covers a lot. Make a motion to adjourn.
One thing I did want to say, Conkle Park, so they're wrapping up Conkle Park. There's just some final grading. There's some final, I don't want to call it ditch digging, but excavating to get the water flowing and stuff. So that's coming along well. The Holy Moly thing that's coming up next week, they've made some substantial improvements in the inside of the building that aren't necessarily visible, right? That's all legal with permits and stuff. But it's been great. I mean, they're talking about July.
Do we have a meeting on that ribbon cutting?
For
That
Holy
Tuesday?
For Holy Moly?
No, for our park.
Which park?
The river.
I don't know. I didn't do we have?
The putt-putt.
I'm not aware of any ribbon cutting. I wasn't invited. I'm not all that important, so you guys should have been
The Holy Moly
invited.
thing is open up in July.
Mackerel.
I think so, yeah.
Mackerel.
No,
If
that's
all
not-
goes,
I'm
I
talking
mean,
about
well,
the
they
park.
still have to approve things, and there still has to be this public hearing thing, right? Because, yeah, right?
But does that mean that Conkle South Playground is gonna be open soon? Holy mackerel.
we don't choose names,
So
so.
did we go to Holy Mackerel?
Holy mackerel. Holy Moly is a television show. Holy
Did I
Moly
say
is a
Holy
television.
Moly, or did I say Holy Mackerel? Holy Mackerel. Well, Holy Moly was the name of the
I heard Holy
donut
Moly.
shop.
I'm saying with Holy Moly. I heard somebody else.
Holy Mackerel it
It's
is.
mackerel.
It's Holy Mackerel. I said Holy Moly. That
I
was the
assumed that
donut
he
shop
used to
that
say that.
failed, that the markets people had it.
And a TV show.
He says a lot of.
It was a TV show. Good God, you dated yourself.
Does that mean Conco
Saw it on
South?
MeTV though, right? You just
Right,
watched
that was it,
reruns
that
on
was it.
MeTV, okay.
Does that mean the Conco South Playground is gonna be open soon? With the pavilion? My kids call it the climbing playground.
I think that the existing pass will be reopened and that the access to the entire south end will happen relatively soon.
Awesome.
So,
That'd be awesome.
I think, but every time I think something, it goes wrong. So, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
By Carlson, seconded by Rogers, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
I wasn't gonna do it.
What was that? Did you? I'm sorry. Oh, but I never.
Thank you. Have a nature area.
Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, he'll love that.
All right.
You know,
Maybe on a beach.
you know,
You're a fan of the nudity?
yeah, well, I had that on my literature when I went to all.
Citrus riches.
I spoke with my opponent, I just had to check with.
No, really.
I wish he had, because I wanted to say, be quoted to say, my opponent tried to expose me to the house and do that, and I
We'll figure it out.
put it on my literature.
Yeah, right.
Right, Danielle?
You gotta have fun with the campaign,
You
right?
want the old sign? You want the old sign? We serve all people.
I should have a bonfire this weekend.
It's probably toxic with the plastic. Huh? We serve old people?
Old people, yep.
Once it's still in.
Oh.
Huh? Yeah. No, it was off and on. Let's see. Gotta check with Christie on something here. She gotta get everything, yeah. CDA meeting. I just wanna verify in front of Walmart, yeah.
I reached out to David Church about it. The church and the St. Vincent with the church. I thought it was.
You have three masters, I have three masters there. Yeah.
That would be it, we only could put it straightforward.
I was hoping something would come together on the way. Obviously, the majority of the sales. 10 years.